for the online shopping. So in such a cases, there is a architecture which is being called as the client server system. The client is essentially the browser on which the user is being using it, and the server is the dedicated machine which is being hosted or it is being housed at the organization level. So let's for an example, suppose we are using Yahoo Mail. So Yahoo is going to have their dedicated server, which in which there is going to be a email server, or there is going to be some application server which is going to take the request on the behalf of the user, and it is going to respond accordingly. So the client server systems are being, when those systems are being designed, then object oriented programming was one of the language which has been used there. Second, object oriented databases. So in the coming semester you will be studying something called as the DBMS, or rather RDBMS, which is called as Relational Database Management System. So where you will see how the data, I mean the structured data is going to be aligned into tables, then how to perform the queries in order to get the data, and there are four different kind of applications which can be performed on this. Those four applications are being called as the CRUD. CRUD. C stands for create, U stands for update, D stands for delete, and D stands for CRU. And then the last one is the DXL. So similarly, the database is also being based on the paradigm of a object oriented one. So that is why, so there is a flavor of the database which is being called as the object oriented databases itself. So when you are going to join into industry and you are being explicitly assigned into a project which is being having a backend as a object oriented database, then you will be able to realize the importance of the subject object oriented programming in the current semester itself. So similarly, there are many office automation system is being carried out. For an instance, let's call, you know, the attendance which you are going to take it up in the SAP, or let's call when your mid semester examination will be conducted, I won't be checking your physical copies, rather your physical copies will be scanned and I am supposed to evaluate the scan copy result. So similarly, in the office there are many automations what tasks are being involved, and those automation can be done with the help of a C++ also. Then there are two other things, what is being called as a parallel programming, and the second one is being called as the export system itself. So the parallel programming means what? So that means a multiple way, I mean the a parallel in a parallel fashion multiple things can be happened. So that means there are two things, one is being called as the sequential and the second one is being called as the parallel one. Sequential means what? One after another, that means one, so once a task has been successfully completed, then the second one will start. So unless until a previous job or unless until a previous task has been successfully completed, then the next one should not be started. So there is, we can say that there is some constraint out of it. But when we say that the parallel programming, which means that we can design in such a way so that the task or the activity or the process can be continued in a parallel fashion without having interdependency among each other. Then there is something called as the export system. So essentially in the 8th semester you may get some subject called as the export system itself. So I do not want to get into the details of, so but all of us are being, you know, heard hearing a word called as the artificial intelligence, isn't it? So most of the, I mean the students, or let's call the placement which are being coming up into the kit for the placement interviews, so they are being predominantly looking out whether the student is having any sort of exposure into the artificial intelligence or not. So this artificial intelligence also can be aligned, I mean to align to a export system itself. Right. So this is what is the primary purpose for which the, you know, the real world problems can be solved here. There is one more thing which is being called as a principle, and that principle is being called as a dry principle. Dry principle means is what? Do not repeat yourself. So that means what it is trying to say, that there is a concept which is being called as the reusability. Now let's try to understand in a greater details. Suppose let's call, okay, so I'm just opening up a notepad. Okay, so let's call, there is a sum function has been given here. This is the two things, and we essentially we need to do the sum here. So what we will do, we'll write something called as a plus b. This is what we will do. Now let's assume that there is a need, we need to do the summation of 3 or 4 or 5 numbers. Then using this function we can achieve it. Any thought process on this? So let's call, suppose we wanted to achieve 4 plus 5 plus 8 plus 9 and then plus 10. This is what we need to achieve by using this function. What needs to be done? Okay, any answer? The student who are being present
So,
here, any answer?
so we can call something like int,
So
let's say c equal to sum 5 comma 4 comma 5 plus 8 comma sorry, plus sum 8 comma 9.
the first we will call the function and add 4 plus 5. Then again we can call and add
So this
8
is,
and
so
9 and
this is,
10 and
hold
12
on.
will be.
So this is what you are telling, right? Then
Just
So
store this
plus,
value in a variable and then again call and
this
add
variable
8
can
to
be done.
9.
Okay, very good. So essentially what you are telling, so I need to create a temporary variable one. T1 is equal to something which we can do, isn't it? Then
sum
what we
Yes,
4
need
sir.
to
plus
do?
5 plus sum 8 plus
So
9.
let's call int t2. This is what we need to do it, right? So let's call sum of something which we can do 8 9, isn't it?
Also
Then
we could have done some
Sir, we
in
could have
T2 is
done
equal to
in one
some
line.
T1 comma 9.
this is also can be doable, right? So basically we are summing this, then we are summing this, and then also we are summing this, isn't it? Then
Yes,
finally
sir.
what we can do,
Sir, T310.
printf, then percentage of d, then we can write sum of t3 and then 10,
Yes, sir.
isn't it? This is what we are doing it, isn't it? So basically what we have done, we have not altered the definition of the function. Did we alter the definition of the function?
No, sir.
No, right? So that means this is something called as the don't repeat yourself. That means we are being using the concept of reusability to achieve it. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All of you know what is a cascading function called? Is there, so cascading function call? Are you, any one of you aware of it? So like something like this. You know this? Then what needs to be done? So basically how many intermediate variable that has been created here? 3 intermediate variables,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
isn't it? So let's call, we do not wanted to create it intermediate variable. Then what needs to be done? We need to call the function in a cascading fashion. Am I clear what is meant by the cascading fashion which I have just narrated now? Then what needs to be done? What else need to be done? Suppose we need to do some addition up to 4 plus 5 8 and 9. What else need to be done here? Another sum has to come here, isn't it? Then we
Yes,
have
sir.
done till 8, then it has to become 9. Then what else? Again another sum has to come here, then it has to be till what? 10.
Sir,
10.
Okay, then we
Yes.
need to write what? A printf statement has to be written something like this. This is what needs to be written, isn't
Yes.
it? Isn't it? So tell me, so this one is better or this one is better? Which one is the better one?
Sir, last one.
The last one. Why you think it is the better one?
So because it is
Sir,
the
because
shortest method
Without
possible.
any extra variable, we can
sir, it is
solve this.
readable and less space covering.
So essentially, when you are going to call something like this, your intermediate variable are going to be created. So for that, if you have been written into the main function, assume that this is what you have written into the main function. Then the local variables are being getting created, isn't it? A local variables are going to be
Yes,
getting created, isn't it? So that is why this is what has been a better approach than this. Okay. Now let's call how many statements are going to be executed here. 1, 2, 3, 4, isn't it? So let's call when the compilation process has to happen, the compiler has to check this, compiler has to check this, compiler has to check this, and finally this is what is the last thing the compiler has to check, isn't it? In this case, what the compiler should check? Only once.
Only once.
Only once, isn't it? So that means here the compiler has to do the checking or the validation 4 times, but in this case it has to check for a single time. Is this clear?
yes, sir, clear.
Yes, sir.
Clear to
Yes,
all
sir.
of you? Okay, the next thing is, now when we are seeing there is a cascading of the function has been happened, how do the compiler will come to know that which function need to be executed first? How it will
The
come to know?
innermost function.
So the innermost.
The innermost. So in this case, what is the innermost?
4, 5.
Sir, 4,
Some
5.
four,
Some 4,
five.
5.
So 5.
Sum
Yes,
of
sir.
4 and 5. So that means this is the first function which is going to be executed first. Then this is the return value here. That means the return value of this. So the return value will be what? 9. The return
Yes,
value
sir.
of this is being 9. That means the next sub function will take how many values?
Two
2.
values, 9,
Two values.
Yes,
What
sir.
is the value to the first argument?
9.
9.
9. Is it clear? So it will be the 9. So the second sum function will be called up with the first argument called as the 9 and the second argument is being called as the 8. Then again this function has been successfully done. Then
Yes,
my
sir.
this function has to be called up. So this sum function again has to be called up with how many arguments?
3.
This sum function will
Sir,
be
2,
again
2,
called up
2.
with how many arguments?
2, sir,
2.
Two
2.
arguments.
Two arguments. What is the
Yes, sir.
value of the first argument?
17.
It will be 17.
Yes,
Am
sir.
I clear? So that means
Yes, sir.
again this function, sum function will be called up with a value of 17. And what is the value for the second argument? That is b?
9.
9. Okay. So 17 and 9, it becomes 26.
26.
Now to the outermost sum, then what is going to be the first argument value?
Sir, 26.
26. What is the second one or the second
10.
value? 10. So the
Yes, sir.
26 and 10, that will what will
36.
be? Okay. Then it is what is going to flush out the value of 36. So is this clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
Excuse me, sir.
this is what we are trying to do here is that, so I could have also written something like this. So let's call what you have done. We have not repeated the function, but otherwise if I have to calculate, we have to done this. What we would have written something called as c, then, isn't it? This is what we have written.
Yes,
3
sir.
plus 5 arguments are being there. So that means we will have the 5 arguments. So till here we would have to write, then what you would have written? Plus c plus d and then plus c. Then you would have called this function. Is it clear? So this is what has been called as a, we are not going to repeat itself. That means the function is not getting repeated. Rather, we are reusing the function in order to compute a different one. So is this point is clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Girl side, is this point is clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
very good. Now there are four pillars that has been come across. What is the first pillar? What is the P stands for? There are four
Placement.
pillars, right? What is the P stands for?
Placement.
Placement.
Yes, placement. So you need to study object oriented programming for placement. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Then what is the second pillar?
Higher study.
Higher
Higher
studies,
study.
isn't it? So the higher studies. If anybody is being interested to pursue the higher studies, so nowadays all the engineers, I mean the students like you, so they are initially engaging with a organization for 2 years, then they are being joining going for the higher studies. So last 1 month or so, a girl student who are being passed out kit on 2018 or so, sorry 2019 or so, she has worked for 3 years in HSBC, and recently she got into a management institute which is being called as ISB Hyderabad. Are you heard about it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's a premier institute, isn't it? If she
Yes,
can,
sir.
then you can. Okay, so if she can, then also you can. So you know, so she was being the, I mean he told me, she has conveyed to her parent, then she has conveyed to her that she got into the school of the business in Hyderabad itself, and then I sent my congratulation message to her. Okay. So this is what is being the higher studies. Then the third pillar, what it is telling?
Entrepreneurship, sir.
Entrepreneurship. That means tomorrow you may not be interested to continue with a job, so you may become a entrepreneur by yourself. Okay, so the concept of the object oriented programming also will be able to help you out on the entrepreneur your journey into the entrepreneurship as well. Okay, then the last one is, what is SS stands for?
Social activities.
Social
Social.
activity. So how can we do the social activity? So by learning object oriented programming, how can we do the social activity? Any thoughts?
Sir, by creating free websites.
Of course, you can create some free website. Then what else?
Sir, free databases for let's say NGOs and stuff. There are a
Okay,
lot of internships
that
that
means you
are
will
Yes,
with
sir.
engage with the
NGOs.
NGOs and so. Okay, what else? What else? Any thought process? You can go to KISS and you can also deliver a lecture. KISS also a university, isn't it?
Yes,
The
sir.
way KIT is being a university, in the similar fashion, the Kalinga Institute of Social Science, that is also a university which is being offering BSc in computer science, MSc also in computer science. The BSc and also in the MSc, the students are also studying object oriented programming the way you are studying. So let's call, after passing out from this semester, or let's call after passing out this year, second year, so one will be become a champ or many will become a champ, isn't it? So so you need to come forward and also need to help to the society. So if you need to help to the society, then it has to be start from home, isn't it? So the case is being nothing but a sister consultancy of the KIT University. So you may possibly deliver some lecture on the KIT University and need to spare your knowledge, or need to spread your knowledge and deliver the classes so that they can also be the champ like you. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All the four pillars are being clear to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. These are the some course outcomes are being implemented here. Okay, so in the first course outcome, we need to understand the key difference between the structure oriented programming and something called as the object oriented programming. Okay. Do you know what is meant by the structure oriented programming? Do you know what is the structure that you have studied in C? Yes or no? Okay, so let's call a student is being characterized with name, roll number, and then sex. Okay. Can you define a structure for it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's call a student is being characterized with name, then a roll number, and then sex. So leave apart the other things. So what are we supposed to do? We need to create a structure for this. So what I need to do, or rather what we need to do, so we need to do something like called struct student. Then what I'm supposed to write here?
Sir, the name of the student, sir.
The name of the student. So what should be the data type?
Character.
Character, then
Character array.
Name.
name, then
Brackets.
brackets,
Bracket.
right?
Yes. Semicolon.
20 years.
Okay, then what we need to write?
Int
Roll number.
Roll number.
Int roll.
Roll.
Then what we need to write?
Sex.
Sex.
Chapter 6.
This is what needs to be written here, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
This is what we
Yes.
have studied, isn't it? So you are in which semester now?
Third.
You are all in third semester.
Third.
You all are in third semester now.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So the course name, what you have told, it is for the which semester?
First.
It is first semester.
Second, first.
It is in the first semester. So how this code can be improved? You are in third semester. How this code can be improved?
So declaring the
somebody knows
character name array and sex in the same line.
What?
Declaring the name array and the sex variable in the same line.
No, it is not. That is why we cannot improve it. Okay, any other thoughts? So let's call, if something which you have written, if there is a 10 numbers, then how much mark you are expected to get? So let's call, this is what is being a 10 mark which has been given, or let's call a question which has been asked you. Okay, so many of you have written something like this. So what is the mark that you will get?
Sir, 8.
8. Okay, girl student, what mark you will get? Any girl student, please let me know what mark you will get if you have written something like this. The boys told that they will get 8 out of 10. What you will get? Participate in the class. It should not be a one-dimensional one. It should not be unidirection. Tell me what you are expected to get. You are not participating. Okay, let me do one thing.
Sir,
Yes.
so we cannot declare a like empty array like that.
Okay, so you cannot declare an empty array like that. So let's call something, we have written something like
Yeah,
this. Correct? Isn't it? This is what we'll do it. Isn't it? So this is not an empty array now. This is your school, right? Sorry, this is your, I mean section, correct? The Excel file which I have opened up.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me pick up something here. Roll number 320.
Yes,
Roll
sir.
number 320.
Yes, sir.
Switch on your camera.
Sir, I'm having little network issues. The weather is not good here today, so I don't think I'll be able
Switch on
to.
your camera for 2 seconds.
So let me just rejoin and then I'll switch on.
Okay. Roll number 5651. Roll number 5651 absent.
Yes,
Very
sir.
good. You are present or absent?
The present.
Switch on your camera.
Yes, sir.
I cannot see you. Rest of you, are you able to see here? Okay. When I ask a question, why didn't you
Yes, sir.
respond?
Sir, I wasn't sure. That's why.
You are not here. Okay. So let's call. If this is the code which you have written here, what mark you should have expect here?
So seven, 6 or 7.
6 or 7. Why do you think that boys are expected to get 8 and why you will get 6 or 7?
No, sir, I don't know.
You don't know. Okay, if this is what you have written, I would have give you what I have
Zero,
written here.
zero,
What has been written here?
zero,
0. Is it a 0 or it is a double 0?
double zero.
Double 0. So what is the double? What is the difference between a single 0 and a double 0?
That
So
we
the
did.
go ahead.
Um, it's a wrong code.
No, it's the right code. There is nothing wrong on this, right? Do you think anything wrong here?
No, sir.
Nothing, right? Isn't it? So, but you will be getting a 20. 20 means it is a big 0. Is it clear? 651.
Yes.
Okay. So, if somebody asks you what is a big 0, what you will respond?
That it's a zero.
It's a sequence of zeros. Okay. So, it's going to be a sequence of zeros. Okay. You may turn off your camera. Okay. Now, let's understand why I told it is 2 zeros here. What is the constraint on this? Anybody can answer. What is the constraint on this? One, we have written character name, something called as the 50. What are the constraint on this?
Sir, it limits the length of the name.
Decibels, very good. It limits the name. So due to this limitation, what will happen?
So we can store
Sir,
only 50 letters, like a word up to 50 letters.
So it will store up to 15 letters, that
sir,
50 character. Okay.
it
What
will
is the
also waste
limitation on
memory.
this? Huh?
It also wastes memory. So let's say my name is 10 characters long. I am still using 50 characters worth of space.
So what this is called as? What is the technical term which is being called as?
Space complexity.
I have written something.
Under.
What is underflow and what is overflow?
Underflow means under limit.
So underflow means, so you are given a size of 50 but you are using only 10 or 15. So what
Yes,
is
sir.
that is getting utilized? What is getting not utilized? So let's call a character, this name has come with a 15 character. Then what is that it is not getting utilized? Another 35 character,
Yes, sir.
isn't it?
Yes,
So
sir.
that means it is underutilized. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
So this is what will
Yes, sir.
result into a underflow condition. What is a overflow?
So more than 50
More than
characters.
50. Is there anyone from South India in this group? So typically the students from the South India, they used to have big names. So when such students going to have the big name, these 50 character won't be able to accommodate them. So in such a cases, what will happen?
Error will come.
Their complete name will not be fit into the name variable,
Yes, sir.
isn't it? That is what is
Exactly.
being called as a overflow condition. That means you need more, isn't it? So basically there is a limitation which has been given as the 50, but that 50 is becoming less for some input and one need more. That is what is been called as a overflow condition. Making sense?
Yes, sir.
So how to get rid of this?
Should use string.
Use string. This is what is being string, right?
So the class string,
The class string,
the
is it available in C?
C plus plus.
C++.
No,
We
sir.
have not jumped into C++, right?
Yes.
Isn't
So
it?
first we can ask how many letters.
We can ask how many letters. Okay, very good. Then
So then make the char array like of
okay,
that
char
size.
array. Okay, so all not all so compilers support this. Only few compilers support this. What is the uh, permanent solution to this? How can we get rid of this? The string comparison, the inbuilt function. What argument it takes? You might have
So
used string
two
comparison
string.
function, right?
Yes, sir. Two strings.
What argument it takes?
So it compares two strings. So it will take two
That
strings.
I know. That we know. It compares two strings. What argument it takes? What argument it takes? Isn't it? Isn't it yes or no?
Yes, sir. Pointers.
Okay. What this is S and T? What it is? What
Pointers.
pointer it is?
It's a pointer that points to the first.
What this pointer is
First.
called as?
So pointer pointing to character
What
variable.
this way pointer is pointing to a character? What this pointer is called as? What is this? What is this pointer? What this R represents here?
Integer point.
It is integer pointer. So what this represent here?
Character point.
Character pointer. What this represent here?
Null pointer.
What is this?
Null pointer.
Null pointer. Null pointer is something like this. So let's call R is not assigned to anything, or let's call this is what has been done here. Then till this point it is being a null pointer here. Do you know what is the void pointer? No or don't know? Okay, don't know. I'm
So
repeating
it is
that you do
basically
not know.
associated with no data types, and we can assign it to any kind of data.
Yes. So this has to be written something like this. Am I clear? Then the last zero will be turned up to the 1 here. Is it clear what I said? The
Sir,
Yes, sir.
can you
statement,
explain once again, sir?
this was there, isn't
Yes,
it?
sir.
This is what is there. So when you have written like this, what was the most significant digit here? What is the most significant digit here? What is the value of the most significant digit here? LSB, MSB, all of you know or don't know?
It's a 0.
It is 0. So essentially what we are trying to say that the string strcmp is the string comparison function which you have might have used it in your first semester program, and this function has to be, when this has to be used, we need to call something called as string.h header file. This is what needs to be done, isn't it? So this is the first header file which you have included. Then you have used strcmp function here, isn't it? That means this is what is being pointing a character pointer here. That means the s is going to point to a base address of a character array. Am I clear? Is it clear or
Yes,
not
sir.
clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now this is what is going to result into a underflow or a overflow condition. So what provision needs to be done by which it can hold as many as number of character without having the constraint of underflow and overflow? Then this should not be there, isn't
Yes,
it?
sir.
So this should not be there. Then what needs to be done here? Here we need to make it as a character pointer. We need to make it as a character pointer, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then the most significant digit which is being currently 0, it will be transformed to what?
1.
It will become 1. Then you will be happy, isn't it?
Yes,
If
sir.
the MSB is becoming 1, then would you lead to happiness or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so happiness means what? It is out of out, 100 out of 100 in object oriented programming, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so essentially you need to think in these terms. Since you are going to study DSA now, okay, so think of in this, you are not going to write only the code, you are going to write a quality code. So the definition of quality we will come to know as we progress through onto the object oriented programming. Make sense?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay,
So,
now this is the, yes.
so can we use since we have a header file as included string.s, and can we use get and put for overcome this problem, sir?
The get input is to take the input from the user,
Yes, sir.
isn't it? So we are not actually concerning now whether to take the input from the user or to take the input from a file system. We need to first decide the structure in such a way so that it will be the structure design has to be flexible. The flexibility is the one which you are aiming for by getting rid of the two problem which you have discussed now. Is it clear what I said?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. Now going to the course outcome. So there are 6 course outcome as a part of the object oriented programming. So we will first understand the difference between the structure oriented programming versus object oriented programming. Okay, then there are some concepts are being there which will gradually come to know over the period of time. Okay, I will not go through each of the course outcome. Rather, when this the lecture note will be shared with each of you, you rather go through by yourself. Then you will be realized that what are we expected to get post to the completion of the subject. Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay. So this is what is being the course content. So this course is being divided into multiple modules or multiple units. So in the first unit, we will study what is object oriented paradigm. and then there are two headers or the two cuts here. So we will study how the evaluation of the programming paradigm has come across, and then we will just go through some of the basic concept of object oriented programming, like class, object, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, dynamic banding, message passing, so and so forth. Okay, this is what we are expected to study in your first module, and I am assuming that it will take 2 hours of class. That means by end of this week we'll be done with the first unit. Is it clear? Is it clear to
Yes, sir.
everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then in the second unit we will go through C++ programming basics, and again these are the some cuts are being there. So let's call the fundamental constructs of C which is being used in C++, then some of the programming basics, then variables, then the function. These are the one which will get covered in the unit number 2. So similarly, the object and the classes will be studying in the unit 3, then the constructor and the destructor which will be covering up in the unit number 4, then the inheritance is the one which will be covering up in the fifth number unit, and that is what is going to be the syllabus for your mid semester examination. Any questions till this point of time?
No, sir.
Do you know the course coordinator of object oriented programming? Anyone of you knows?
Yes, sir.
Who is this? Who is the course coordinator? It's me. Is it what you are telling?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I am the course coordinator for this. Okay. Then this is what is going to be your mid semester one. Then post mid semester we will be covering up operator overloading, polymorphism, files and stream, exception handling, and the template. Okay, this is what is going to be we will be covering up post mid semester examination. Any questions as far as the course content is being concerned?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. The textbook. The textbook is basically, what is the textbook which has been given to you?
Sir,
Sir, I'll just
Bala Guru Swami,
Yes,
isn't
sir.
it?
Yes, sir.
So the Bala Guru Swami is the textbook which has been prescribed by the university. Then on the top of it, so we are telling Rimath is also being another book on the C++. Okay, but I am presuming that, so if you are going through the Bala Guru Swami book, book, it should suffice. Okay, it would suffice on the.
Sir, will we get the offline book or we have to read from the online PDF? It's
So
very
actually, we have just got
inconvenient
the
to
e-book
read
for
from
the
PDFs.
e-Prabhaswami book, so we haven't got the actual hard copy. So that we are asking that we
The
will be
hard
getting.
copy, once you arrive in the campus, so discuss with your librarians. Okay, I am not sure whether they are going to give you the hard copy or the soft copy. So in the pandemic, we have given the soft copy to the students. But since you will be coming to the campus, I am presuming that they may give you the hard copy.
Sir, some of us the seniors, our senior batch has got hard copy for this.
Because your seniors are already in the campus, you are not.
No, sir. Last year when they were in pandemic, they got it.
I'm not sure. I'm presuming that the international students might have got the physical book. I'm not sure about the national student. Okay. Also, I do not have the data that who has got the book and who has not. Okay. So to get a precise answer, you may either talk to our librarian. Mr. Bedaditya Swami is the person so which you can contact and you can figure it out. Okay. So for more
Sir,
information,
again the name, sir.
tutor mentor.
Sir, the name of the library.
Okay, you WhatsApp me, I will write it down.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this is what is being the textbook. Then also we have provided some reference books. Any questions on this? Any questions on this?
Sir, can you
No.
show the slide of course content? I just want to see it again, what we are doing. Thank
I'm going slowly.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now this is what comes to your grading system. This is what we have already discussed, isn't it? This is what we have already discussed. That we will have two assignments, which is going to be 10 marks, two quizzes of 10 marks, class participation 5 marks, and there is something called as the critical thinking, which is also of 5 marks. So one of you tell me what I need to do so that you will term what activity need to be considered as a part of critical thinking. Yes, tell me what
Sir,
need to be done as a part of
project,
critical thinking.
sir, a project on some topic.
Project, you are it's too much yearly. I cannot give you the project.
Sir, quiz.
Quiz के लिए the second bullet point is all about quiz.
Sir,
So
complex questions.
complex question. Define what is a complex question.
Sir, which uses more than one single topic.
Which uses more than one single topic. Okay, very good. Okay, so let me throw you a problem statement. All of you know what is a chessboard?
Yes, sir.
Girls, do you all of you know what is a chessboard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, chessboard, isn't it? Can we design a chessboard using the combination of structure and arrays to represent a chessboard?
Yes, sir.
Write a program to represent a chessboard. You do not need to submit me, but I may ask this as a kind of a quiz question. Okay, so critical thinking for me is that something going beyond our mind. Okay. Everyone is not expected to get 30 out of 30, correct? Or are you all aiming that you will be getting 30 out of 30?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Then don't live in the then don't live in the daydreaming world. Okay, not everyone will get 30 out of 30. Okay, you may get full mark in assignment, quiz, class participation, not on critical thinking. Okay, let me be very frank with each of you. Okay, so one who is being punctual in the class, submitting all the activities within the deadline, he or she may get more than 25. Okay, but this 5 marks is being with me. I need to make a differentiation within the class. That does not mean that I'm going to give them 0. Okay, that does not mean that I'm going to give them 0, but there is a distinction will come across. Okay, so the question which I have just told now, to represent a chessboard using a C program. Okay, you think through how it can be done. Okay, you need to write a quality code. What we need to write? I just repeat the statement there. What we need to write?
Quality code.
Quality code.
We need to write a quality code on this. Okay, those whoever are interested, they may submit it or they may share with me. Those who are being sharing, there is a I mean student, my student attendance sheet. I am going to color them with some default color. Do you know I have colored to only 2 students as of now? Do you know this or don't know?
Yes, sir. We know.
The 2 students are already being marked with a yellow color. That means these students are being already in my mind. They will be always in my sight. When your mid semester or the end semester exam will be conducted, I'll be evaluating their record first. I mean the copies their copies I'll be evaluating first. Even though they are making some small mistake, I will not deduct any mark. Okay, so try to be within the yellow category zone. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, when you have to submit the chessboard problem?
I didn't ask for any deadline, so you submit it at
Okay.
your own leisure. It may also happen after the end semester also. Okay, then I
Okay,
will
sir.
mark you. I will mark yellow after the semester.
Okay, sir.
Okay, and girl side, be responsive in the class. Sometimes it giving me a feeling that I am in the North Pole and you all are in the South Pole, and there is no connection between the North and the South Pole. Okay, I was supposed to create four, I mean, the roles in the class itself. Girls here, boys here, then the girls, I mean, chief entertainment officer and the boys entertainment officer. Okay, but since you are arriving in the campus on August, so at that point of time, I will be creating it. So because we will have face-to-face interaction with each of you. Okay. So is this clear? The internal sending and the prerequisite
Yes,
and
sir.
the dates, isn't it? It is clear to everyone.
Yes, sir.
There are two emojis are here. Which one you will like most?
So the
Yes,
smiley
The
one.
smiling one.
Smiling one, sir.
The smiley one depends on any factors.
Sir, response
yes, sir.
and class participation.
Complete work on time.
Okay, I am presuming that the emojis which has been shown here, these emojis do not have any relationship with the internal sending, correct? Isn't it? Or is it this one, the difference in between those two is being primarily depend on this, the internal sending. What your call? What is your call? Whether these emojis are being, I mean, primarily depend on this or does not depend on this.
So it depends on
I
the.
depend on this.
So depend on this
Depend
one.
on this, right? The girl side, does it depend on this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It depend on this.
So both.
Both means? What do you mean by both?
Internal as well as the semester exam.
Okay, so these and these both.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay. But anyway, this is what we have decided upon. I do not want any one of you should be into this one. Okay, so that means you should not be looking at me with your ugly face. Okay, when we will be meeting each other at the campus, the first look when we will have, you should not be looking at me with a ugly face. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The face should not be having the ugly eyes also. Make sense? Anyway, I'll be on my mask. I'll be encouraging you to put your mask also. Then behind the mask, whatever you do, it won't be visible to me, right? Isn't it? So don't forcibly, put out your mask and show me your ugly face. Okay, done. Then let's start with the programming paradigm. Should we start from today? Next class with the Nariyal 4K.
The
What's
next
your call?
class.
Huh?
Next class.
Next
Next,
class.
sir.
Next class.
Okay, if it is going to start on the next class, then मंदिर कौन जाएगा पहले? It's you or me?
Us.
Sir, आप.
हम ही जाएंगे.
ये भी करोगे ना कि भगवान मुझे सब्जेक्ट में वो आ जाए, है कि नहीं?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So वो नारियल फोड़ के आ जाओ, then we will continue in the next class.
Okay, sir.
Okay, now we will be switching
Sir,
on to the lab component. So what is the time in your watch?
So 11:58.
Sir, 11:50.
11:58.
Sir, 12.
11:58.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can take 2 minutes of break. Then 12 o'clock. Let's sync on the same platform. I mean on the same URL. Okay, we'll be
excuse me,
continuing
sir.
our lab class. Yes.
Sir, actually, I did the code for the chessboard as a binary matrix.
Hmm.
So, should I show it
Binary matrix.
if it's
So you let the
yes,
class
sir,
get
it's a
over, then
binary.
you can let's connect. Okay,
Okay.
because you are going to spend another 2 hours. So have some refreshment for 2 minutes of refreshment. Okay, then after 2 o'clock, let's sing together.
Okay, sir.
Make sense?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so in my watch it is 11:59. Let's clock at 12 o'clock. Let's meet at 12 o'clock.
Okay, sir.